Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Telegraph Herald More Than the Score, presented by Dubuque Bank and Trust and Dubuque Auto Plaza. I am your host, Steve Ortman, alongside... Who's this? Brenden West? How's it going, buddy?
I'm back, man. I missed it, but I'm here now. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I feel just so overjoyed that you're back with us.
Really?
Yep, and you know why you're back with us. We had a pretty big event take place in volleyball this past weekend.
Yeah, we sure did. For those of you who haven't heard, Dubuque Wahlert has claimed its first state volleyball title in 11 years. Not since 2005 has that happened, and for such a storied program, it felt like a pretty long drought for them. But boy, I got to tell you, being down there in Cedar Rapids, it was quite a blast.
Yeah, and walk me through the tournament, Dubuque Wahlert. They played amazing pretty much the whole tournament.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about just the fact that they swept through, meaning they won every single game 3-0, 3 sets to none. They swept through the entire playoffs, and I mean, it's really quite an impressive feat. I mean, imagine a football team shutting out every single one of its opponents on its way to a state title. It's just a pretty rare thing, and it shows you how dominant they were. Of course, there was Mackenzie May, UCLA-bound. She absolutely tore the lid off of this tournament, and I got to tell you, when I was sitting down there just kind of talking, mingling with people, almost everybody agreed that she is the best player in the state of Iowa, and it showed. She averaged almost 9 kills per set, which is about 26 kills a match, and I mean, it was truly a phenomenal performance. But there are just as many other players responsible for Wahlert's state championship as well. Crystal Tranel, the libero, Jenna Gremmel, the setter, they both landed on the all-tournament team. May earned the captain honors for the all-tournament team. And then just so many other players. I mean, we've got the middles, Carolyn Conlin, we've got Anna Sherman, we've got the right side, Liz Fleckenstein, McKenna Horchak, of course. They all played a really big part in this, and they're, you know, if you had the privilege of seeing this volleyball team last week participating at the tournament, I mean, you would have been treated to some pretty dominant volleyball.
Yeah, and it was a great run, and Lindsay Beeves, the head coach, not her first time down to state. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, it's pretty crazy. You know, she is a Wahlert alum. Some of you may know her better as Lindsay Kane, the former TH Player of the Year back in 2003. This time she's coming back as coach, and you know, we were kind of talking about things. You know, she was a setter way back in the day, playing for Tom Keating and those great teams. She said she was actually way more nervous being on the sidelines than she was actually when she was playing and winning state titles herself. So it was really kind of an interesting perspective there. Obviously, huge congrats for Coach Beeves and the Wahlert Golden Eagles.
Yeah, obviously when you're on the sidelines coaching, you're kind of not as much in control. Can't really control what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, that was the big part, you know. But credit to her, you've got to, you know, as a coach, you really got to sort of put the train on the tracks and make sure that it's rolling in the right direction. And I think that she did a fantastic job of that. If you looked at any of her players, they were all laser focused, 100% conscientious of the job that was in hand. And that spanned from everyone. That was with May, who was obviously, you know, a focal point of the offense, and it goes right down to all the other players, the serving specialists, the back row subs, the other players who contributed on the team. Everybody was so focused on the job that they had to do and the mission they had to accomplish. I mean, these guys from day one, when they showed up in the practice courts and the gyms working towards this season, from day one they outlined a state title as their goal, and for them to actually achieve that and to do it in such a dominant fashion, I mean, that shows the caliber of players that were on the court, and that shows the kind of coach that was sort of guiding them there.
Congratulations to Dubuque Wahlert, Class 4A state champions. Hey, Paul, look at my socks. Paul, look at my socks. Aren't they cute? They're so cool. Yeah. Well, it's been 2 weeks since the Cubs won the World Series. You think Tim settled down at all?
Woo!
We're champs, Steve. We're champs. The GOAT is gone. There's no more GOAT. We're champs, dude. Champions. Champions. Champions.
I saw you dressed up for work today.
Champions, Steve. Champions.
2 weeks
Champions.
going strong, huh?
This is just the start, Steve. This is the prelude.
Yeah.
Champions.
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 Well, if you couldn't tell, we're going to begin the Tim O'Neill portion of this week's episode. And Jim, what do you want to talk about?
I prefer to call this the championship portion of the episode, since we're talking about champions. And who's the champion?
The Chicago Cubs.
That's right. The Cubs are the champions. The Cubs are the champions.
Can you believe we're saying that?
Can you say it one more time?
Chicago Cubs are world champions.
That never gets old hearing that.
No?
What? One more time?
Holy cow! That was a bad Harry Caray.
That was.
Holy cow!
Maybe we should just move on.
No, we can't move on. It's a joyous time for many in the Tri-States. Chicago Cubs won the World Series, and Tim, you're a Cubs fan. Been a Cubs fan for a long time. You're down 3-1, and this team comes back. Take me through it. I'm sure you went through many of the emotions, the roller coaster ride that many others in the Tri-States went through. Absolutely. It was just an absolute roller coaster ride. Even just talking about Game 7 itself was a roller coaster ride. You know, as a Cubs fan, I've had my hopes dashed quite a bit by this team, and I keep coming back. And I'm not going to lie, there were some times there where I felt like, well, here we go again. You know, this is 2003 all over again, or, you know, any of that other bad stuff that happened in the past. But thankfully this time, you know, the rain delay came at the right time. The Cubs got the breaks this time instead of the things going against them. And thankfully, you know, no more 108-year talk, no more talk of the Billy Goat and not winning the title. The Cubs are champions, Steve. They're champions. They're champions. Really, an incredible thing about it is, you know, this team entered the season really as the favorites. Right. And which is, you know, unbelievable to say in itself. But when it came down to it, they're down 3-1. You can kind of feel the anxiety coming up for many fans. Did you feel that? Was this still a win, even just making it to the World Series? You know, it really was, because, and I had said so after they made it to the World Series, that even if they lost the World Series, yeah, I was going to be disappointed. But, you know, they hadn't been to the World Series since 1945. That's a 71-year drought that has been broken. You know, they took it a step further than last year. You know, last year they lost, they got swept in the NLCS. This year they won the NLCS, got to the World Series. So, you know, as long as they took a step forward, that was a positive sign for me. The fact that they were able to bring it all home, you know, that was just icing on the cake. Yeah, at this point, you end such a long drought. World Series champions. As a fan, what are you thinking expectation-wise? I mean, is this a team that you think can really sustain this for a couple years more? I think so. If you look at the team that they got, I mean, that young core, a lot of them are locked up for multiple years, and I don't think the window's going to close anytime soon. I think this team pretty much has already been installed as preseason favorites to win it next year. I don't see any reason why they can't, and who knows, maybe they're going to have a chance to match the Blue Jays and repeat as World Series champions. Maybe they can take it further. Maybe they can win 3 in a row. Maybe they can win 3 out of 4 or something like that. I know I'm hoping a little much, considering they've won 1 in 108 years. 4, 5, win 1. Yeah. I sound like LeBron James now. Nothing now. You know, getting over that hump, and with the team that they got, I think it's certainly a possibility. Now, to commemorate this amazing victory, the Telegraph-Herald is actually selling a Chicago Cubs World Championship poster available at our website, telegraphherald.com. I know this is already sold in the thousands. I know much of that is you and your family, but still it is available to the public, so be sure to check that out. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Telegraph-Herald More Than the Score, presented by Dubuque Bank and Trust and Dubuque Auto Plaza. I am your host, Steve Ortman. He's a joyous Tim O'Neill. Champions. Congratulations, Chicago Cubs. We will catch you next week. Anything to add? Champions. Champions. Oh, hi everyone. Thanks for staying beyond the credits. We got a very special post-credit exclusive for you here. Because, you know, we here on More Than the Score like to think of ourselves as unbiased, fair, and just. that since Tim O'Neill got to come on here and describe his celebration of the Cubs winning the World Series championship, there's a lot of Cubs fans in the tri-state area. But as you know, we've experienced it, there are maybe not quite as many, but lots of non-Cubs fans in the tri-state area. So, with that being said, to give us the non-Cubs fan perspective of the Cubbies winning the World Championship, we have none other than TH Sports editor and diehard St. Louis Cardinals fan, Jim Leitner. Jim, how you hanging in there?
I don't know what to say. I've had so many years of fun of picking on Cubs fans. Years and years down the drain. What am I going to do, Steve? All my fun, summers from spring training through September, saying that Cubs stands for can't understand baseball strategy, or completely useless by September.
That's a good one.
I don't know what to say, Steve. I'm at a loss. It's been a hard month.
I'm sure all the Cubs fans really feel for you Cardinals fans right now. What it must be like not winning the World Series.
I will say that I have spent this month binge watching all my Cardinals World Series DVD collection, and it takes me a good 10-12 hours to get through it. So that's kind of how that's been my coping mechanism for the last month. But I still at a loss for words, Steve. I don't know what to do.
Well, lastly, to put you on the spot.
There's always next year, I guess.
There's always next year. There's always next year, Cardinals fans. Good advice from Jim Leitner.